Let's do a little bit of work. Okay. So one of the things that I've decided to do, and I think I need to get my concept up here so you guys can see it too. I have recently gone through and done some kind of paint overs on this on my iPad to be able to try to determine a little bit more about some ideas that I want to pursue with this particular character. I want to finish her out. I want to make it so that she's done. I have some anatomy things that I need to work out. You can see it. There are a lot of issues with like the knees. The knee shapes are like really not right. Um, there's some things happening with other areas like the wrists and getting the anatomy of the wrist to feel right, getting the anatomy in yeah, like the legs, the leg transitions, the feet especially. I feel like are going to be pretty important in making this character feel right. And then I also want to give her like a Bond girl dress, so we're gonna do some of that. Um, Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and add this to Dropbox so that I can create a. Let me see. Show in folder. Upload photo. Okay, so real quick, just to be able to prep this, I want to make sure that I'm getting this to look right. I got rid of that. So let's say save changes, sure. Not a big deal, one way or the other. What I want to do, let's go ahead and grab, let's see, open file location. Should be in here. Awesome. Here is our new concept. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to narrow this down. You can see like I'm kind of trying to sketch out like hair ideas and different looks and whatnot here. Um, Obviously, very different from the original photograph that I was originally trying to emulate. That's fine. It happens. When you're doing a project for your own spare time, it's just kind of part of how things play out. Okay, cool. I kind of like the idea of this being maybe a little bit smaller. Okay, I get something like that going on. And yeah, just trying to play with some of this stuff, trying to figure it out, see what I can get. All right. So now some of the things that I'll have to do in here is like, I'll have to go in here and play with some of the plane changes of the foot. And see if we can get this to feel a little bit more ankle-like. Need this to feel a little bit more. Get some angles more coming in here. Let me see. I'll have to play around with the knee, but it's got to have something a little bit more knee-like here. Get some better angles on there, just some fun little stuff. Okay. For here, same sort of idea. We gotta get more of like an angle to there. We're gonna get a little bit of like an angle in here, so that we're getting something kind of like that. Yeah. And then I probably try to push this just a little bit. Just to try to get that to have a little bit more of an angle here. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm really kind of playing at those angles a little bit better with those feet, especially because that'll help a lot. That'll go a long, long way in making sure that that the design reads and that it feels really controlled. So yeah, just some of those things that I'm trying to clean up, trying to work out. I really like the idea of changing it so that she's got her arm up and she's more. I guess it makes it feel a little bit more centered on the character. Takes a little bit of that focus off of the magazine, like it was with it. It felt very focused on the magazine in the original photo, and it's cool. It's a cool idea. I just feel like I kind of want to. Oh, that looks so much better. Okay, and then up here, I kind of want to play with some angles. So this is all just me going through and playing with shapes for now to try to figure out how I'm going to modify the model to be able to fit these new shapes, these new ideas. Um, so far, we got some good stuff going on in there. I'm going to simplify that just a little bit. Okay, lots of really simple little things, right? Yeah, let's go ahead and let's say save. And for the sake of creating an image for Spotlight, let's go say Control Shift. Oh, shoot, that's not what I want. Control Shift I, please. Oh, maybe I did get hit Control Shift I anyway. All right, so we got this. Let me see. Say select and mask just to make sure we're getting what we want. Let's get this so we can see kind of the overlay. It makes it a little bit easier, a little bit more clear to see what it is we're getting at. We'll say remember settings. We'll say radius. Let's turn this up to like 2 or 3. We'll say smart radius so that way it's like detecting our image and detecting our bits a little bit better here so that it gets a cleaner relationship between what's being selected and not selected. And I'll say okay. Control J to be able to make a new layer, and let's export this. ZBrush characters for fun. Caitlin Wing. Yeah, let's go ahead and say magazine girl concept, because we've made a lot of changes to this. In fact, there may be some things about this that I still want to try to experiment with, like maybe having maybe taking this I'll leave it. I'll leave it. I think it works just fine the way it is. So let's bring her over in here. Oh, that's the other thing that I forgot to do. Shoot. Oh well. It'll be okay. It'll be maybe okay. Here, let's say texture import. Import our spotlight character here. Add her to the spotlight. We'll shrink her down. Et voila. Yeah, that looks fine. That looks fine. It's working. Okay, so a couple things we're going to need to try to do, and I want to, I'm not going to try to do everything this stream, just because I don't feel like I have the time today. Um, but I do want to work on a couple of things. I want to work on getting the dress in there. I want to work on getting her knees fixed. Dress and knees, maybe the feet. We'll see. Let's see what we can get to. I'm going to say right now, currently, I've gone ahead and I've masked out a section of her butt, not the whole dress, right? Just a tiny portion of the dress. This is a bit of the dress that I can go ahead and I can extrude it out and make the rest of the dress. Um, but this, let me see. Let's go ahead and say extract. That's really thick. That is not how thick I want it to be. Let's go ahead and put it down to 0 because I don't need it to be anything thicker than just planar geometry. So let's say accept. And so now we've got this piece here that we can use to create a nice final dress. I'm going to try to get rid of some of these things. Let's say let's get rid of all these extra edge loops in here because this will allow us to make our dress much smoother because she doesn't need to have the belly button built in, right? Okay, so I'm going to say collapse poly loop. That should be fine either way, whichever direction it goes. Oh, turn off spotlight projection. There we go. So you see now we don't have any belly button there. Okay, the big thing that I want to be able to do here, since this is just a small dress, we want to say display properties. Let's say double so we can see the whole thing. I want, this is a little bit messy, but we can clean that up once we use Z-Remesher. I'm going to use Z-Remesher to be able to build this out, make sure that I'm getting a decent dress. It's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be amazing, but it should be enough for what we need. So right now it's at 65, so let's just go ahead and use that generic 5,000 count. That looks kind of miserable. Here, let's go ahead and say, let's hit 7 to be able to do the frame mesh. So curve functions, this frame mesh option here. What I want it to do, oh, you know what? This could be a good opportunity to do something a little bit more controlled. Let's do this. I am going to grab the slice curve. Okay, and I'm going to drag across right here. I'm going to drag across right here. Drag across right here. And I'm going to drag across right there. Cool, that was really quite simple. The other thing I want to do, let's drag, in fact, instead of just doing it right there in the one spot, let's go ahead and just drag it all the way down. So that way we get a good split on both of these bottom pieces and both of these top pieces. Let's go ahead and slice that. The whole point of this is to make sure that I have something for my drawing guides to kind of grip onto. Here, let's see. Okay. So now it's just going to give me, hopefully, a fairly decent topology. I mean, we might have some things to kind of work out going around, because I want it to kind of go around here. I want it to go around the opening of the neck, and I want it to go around the outside, or like down toward the bottom. That might come naturally based on what it is that we get from um, from all the things. Here, but let's see. Let's check this out. I'm going to turn off adapt. I'm going to hit Z remesher. I'm going to hold alt and hit Z remesher and see kind of what it is that it gives me. It's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. Let's say keep groups, and now let's say hold alt and hit Z remesher, see what it gives me. Got a little bit messy up here, but that might be cleanable. This isn't bad. I don't particularly care for the way that this is kind of going up and over and like defining her rear end. I don't feel like I need that. And especially since it's kind of defining it twice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's say collapse, 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 collapse. It looks like it did a pretty decent job making it pretty symmetrical, actually, which is kind of a fun thing. Do something like that. I don't need this to go down and around here like that. It's something I want to have squared off at the end, so I'll end up getting rid of some of these here dips just to get rid of whatever is not helping me support a shape. There'll be a lot of work going into that to make that work properly, because you can see, like, I don't need this to be looped like that. That's really weird. That's really weird for a dress. And I don't need this to be looped like this. That's really weird. So we'll be doing a lot of work on this to make this so that it's proper and that it's working the way that we want. But I think we should be able to make this work out just fine. Here, I'm just going to try to ease these points out. Let's try to ease some of these things out. A lot of let me see, that's kind of going around in a weird way. This is odd, so I'm just going to say delete that. We'll collapse that down. And in fact, we can get rid of this. Get rid of this. We'll get rid of everything on this side here and this side here. We'll say delete, and then we'll go ahead and we'll say insert, just because that'll be nice and easy, hopefully. Here, let's do it. Let's do single edge loops just in case. So we're gonna say we have one. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now what we can do, let's go ahead and stitch these to midpoint. And now we can go ahead and we can say stitch hole. Boom. Such a pleasure. Okay, we already have 6 over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which means that there's an extra loop in there. Now here's a question of something that we can kind of go through and try to answer. Here, let's just get rid of, insert one of these. Okay, I'll say stitch that to there. We'll stitch this to there. And we'll go ahead and we'll say stitch hole. Okay, that's pretty nice. So now we just got to fix the way that this goes from front to back so that it has a nice clean topology. And then we've got some funky stuff happening in here. Which I literally have no idea what in the world is trying to happen. This down here is kind of merged together in a really, really weird way, so I'm just going to delete a couple of these. We'll say slide just to get us out of the way. We'll work on that more in just a minute, but I want to start to get some of these other things worked out. You can see that we have the topology very different from one side to the other, going around the chest, and we want that to be much more simplified. That's the hard thing. This is the tricky bit about retopology. Now, another thing that we could do if we really wanted to, and I think that this is a valid way of going about this. We have this, we have, you know what, let's say Control Shift D, just so we have this piece, we can start from there. So I can't mirror and weld because it's not symmetrical. It's kind of a the dress pattern itself is symmetrical, but it wouldn't mirror and weld. And so, because like if you look at it from the front, I mean it's definitely off center. It's posed. It's all sorts of things. So yeah, mirror and weld won't be working for me. The thing that I can do, the thing that I'm going to try right now, is going back to the point where I have frame mesh, and I'm going to use my topology brush, and I can start to determine my own topology. So what I'm going to do, let's kind of drag out from there. We're going to say okay. Okay, so we've got this kind of going up and over. This going around. I am so going to get some crazy edge connections because of how tight that space is. Okay, right here I want to have this going down. And right here I want to have, oh look at that. Oh my goodness, that's a mess. Okay, have that go across. There we go. That's better. So now we can have that go over like that, and that should be nice. That should be clean. Let me see. Right here we want to make sure that we have loop coming down around here. And then we can take this and direct this going around. At a certain point, we'll go ahead and we can start to just, commit this and start to use ZModeler. Oh, that got messy. Good grief. Here, you know what? We're gonna draw a cross right there. Draw a cross right there. A lot of these things are going to need to be kind of reworked. Like for instance, right here, I'm probably going to want to have another edge loop that's going through the middle here. And maybe we have like, actually might have that up a little higher. Take that there. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Grab right here, and then we'll just drag down. So this way we're getting a little bit more topology over areas that are kind of coming out a little bit. Z-spheres are miserable. I don't like them. um, it's not to say it's a bad tool. I just don't particularly care for them. Let's go ahead and pull this around, because like the thing that's nice about, that got to be a little bit messy, but it should be fine. Let's get rid of it. So the nice thing about this, and let's before I go through and do anything too crazy, I'm going to make sure that I have the same thing on both sides here. Let's see. Kind of drag something across here, drag something across here. Complete things a little bit better. Okay, so now that we have some stuff going on, oh yeah, and then over here, I guess technically we've got this coming down, this coming down, and also coming to the side. We'll do something like that, just for the sake of being able to kind of complete what's, to some extent, what's been started. Okay. A lot of this is going to need to be filled in. It's fine. You know, it is what it is. And let's go ahead and draw this down so we can commit it. Yeah. Split unmasked points. Hey, Leonard. Yeah, let's see, we've got Z Modeler. Let's go ahead and turn that back on so we can start to do stuff. Move, I want this to snap to surface. I do want to turn off that chair, because otherwise we're going to be snapping to that chair. Yeah, so I decided to take this character and give her more of like a Bond girl sort of outfit, which I feel like will look nicer. It won't get flagged as much. um, but yeah. Oh, here, let's see. I want to say geometry crease, uncrease all. MRGB color fill object. The color was kind of cool. I mean, it's not going to be the final color. It'll probably be black when it's done, but it's still kind of cool. I'm going to say bridge edges, so that way I get that to be complete. I'm going to add in another edge loop here. Bridge those together. Bridge those together. Make sure that that's nice and complete. Bridge those together. Okay, so now we're getting our dress kind of filled in here. Extrude edge, snap to surface. Boom, yes. Cool. So now we're getting this really cool dress starting to come out of the woodworks. Alright. Same thing over here. Let's go ahead and kind of drag this out, drag this out. We'll drag this out, drag all these little bits out. Make sure it's all one poly group. So yeah, it's all just kind of a matter of, yeah, the printer is running. I didn't get flagged on ArtStation, but I did get flagged on Discord. That was kind of funny. I was like, it's my own Discord. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm just like, I'll I'll fix it. Yeah, let's go ahead and turn off that chair so that it's not in the way anymore. Yeah, it's weird. But it's one of those whatever kind of things, right? It's something I don't really care too much about. Like I said, I mean, I don't typically do this sort of project, and so it's for me, it's not really like a huge issue. It's just a matter of making sure that I work around it, I guess. Let's go ahead and kind of pull this down so that we're getting a better flow around her forms here. And granted, this is all going to be up against the chair. It's going to be butt up against the chair. Sorry. So it's not really going to be seen, but it will be important for it to at least be there, right? Okay, so that's going to be a 5 point. So let's go ahead and say extrude. Pull that down so that's kind of matching up with that. See, what's cool is that I'm going to be able to use, whatever is generated here to create kind of some folds going across her lap, across her hips. So that'll be helpful. Let's grab some of that. Okay, so I'm trying to keep in mind some of these edges, some of these points. I don't really want that to go like right up her. And granted, I can fix that later. It's not a huge deal. Whatever. Let's say extrude that out. Gonna make that so it's coming down this way. Make this so that this is coming down. There we go. We're connecting. We are making things happen. There we go. All right, let's get this going. We're making some good progress. I mean, I'm hoping not to spend a ton of time on this dress because I feel like it's fairly simple. Oh shoot, that's really messed up. Delete that. Slide that over, slide this over. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, there's going to be a whole lot of fun to try to work out with this. But it's fine. It's fine. Cool. Cool. We're getting pretty close here. Okay, and then at some point what I'm going to want to do is model in a nice slit. I'm not sure how high I want that to go though. I think I had it, in fact, yeah, it looks like that's about where the slit started. So this row will be my last solid row. I'll have that slit kind of start there. Okay, we're definitely going to need some more topology in here, but one of the things I want to figure out. Hey, Caitlin, how you doing? Hopefully the printer in the background is not too crazy for y'all. Um, oh, yeah, I forgot to answer your actual question. Your question was like, what am I printing? So I'm printing Sweet Tooth at a scale to be able to fit in with the rest of the little guys that I've been printing. Let's go get to the webcam view. So I mean, um, I've got pumpkin spice up here. Come on, focus on what's there. Yeah, there you go. So pumpkin spice. So Sweet Tooth will be about this size. Um, that's really exciting to me. So looking forward to that. And then, yeah, should be cool. It should be done in about 3 hours, it says. So we'll have to see kind of how that goes. Um, I'm really excited. I mean, I know for sure I'm expecting certain errors. Um, so I'm not too worried about everything. But but yeah, it'll be nice to see if it turns out all right. Um, One of the things that I'm fully expecting. What are my preferences at for this? Geometry. Turn that down to 1. Okay, preferences, config, store config. All right. It's still too strong. Here, we'll just go ahead and we'll say slide, because that'll allow me to get a much closer. That'll allow me to get much closer. My character must be really small or something for it to be taking the weld distance that heavily. I'll have to see. I don't know. I should see about going and taking the car to get checked. To get, what's it called? To get its checkup. I'll have to see about doing that maybe a little later. I've got some time. Slide that over, slide that over, slide that over. Okay. And then one of the things that I can do, if I didn't want to, play with extruding to like totally ruin my my little experience with playing with this stuff, I can just kind of grab this one loop here, control click and drag, and so now that's got a good clean edge, a good clean new edge. That makes an extrusion. It's really nice. If I can just keep pivoting on the area that I'm working on, it'd be helpful. Okay, so now I'm set up to be able to receive all of that. That's getting really close. Let's go ahead and slide point over, slide that over, slide that over. There we go. That's beautiful. Okay, so now we just need to insert an edge loop. And now we can just kind of, well, for this side, what we're going to do is we're going to stitch that to the end point so that we get that all connected together. Oops, that went to the wrong place. I wish that I could do stitch edge just so that it would, go twice as fast. Why did it stitch to that? That doesn't make any sense. Huh. Let's grab the move brush, move it closer, because sometimes it'll have like trouble understanding what you're trying to do if things are too far apart. So that helps. Bridge those together, bridge those together, bridge those together. So now that top bit is pretty done, pretty all right. All right, all right. Bridge. I did use bridge. Yeah, bridge edge is great. It's just a matter of like timing, I guess. And you know what? I'm going to say slide. Let's get this to be a little bit more evened out, I guess. So I think having these evened out might help to, I guess, just make it easier to control the geometry. So let's do something like that. Something like that. Just kind of cozy in these points out. Make it so that it fits nicely. Because I mean, who wants a dress to be all wonky? That just doesn't work. That just doesn't work. Slide that in. Slide that in. It should be all right. Cool. Yeah, I was gonna work on this just on my own. But sometimes it's more fun just to tune in and stream. Kinda nice. I get the best people. Let's go through and make sure that things are nice and in predictable order here. Okay, that's looking pretty decent so far. It's just a matter of trying to make sure that everything's clean. So yeah, let's go through and make sure this is fitting her. These things are I'm gonna definitely need to add more topology to make sure this works. Oh, stop it. Alright. I feel like I don't have like a whole lot to say today. How about you guys? Do you guys have more interesting news? Anything fun to talk about? Anything fun that you're watching? You thought I was going to put in a streaming dilemma when Shane was streaming? He's finished by now though, right? Seemed like he was finished before I started. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Let's see. Watched the Oscars last night. You like Jimmy Kimmel? That's funny. Finished The Last of Us. Started watching Shrinking. I've never heard of Shrinking. Huh. Last of Us is crazy though, and I haven't turned on that final episode yet. That finale. I'm just like, oh my goodness. It just feels too short. I think that's something that's kind of a pain point for me as a viewer. It's like I feel like there's not enough time in these shortened seasons to really be able to develop the characters, to be able to go on a full journey. And granted, they really kill themselves on budget with like going all the way and doing these really super cool effects and everything. But they definitely also kind of shorten the seasons too much in my opinion. Yeah, at least two more. But I mean, it's like you think about like The Walking Dead, like 20 plus episodes per season, and that's something that I kind of miss. I really liked The Walking Dead. In fact, I kept whenever I was watching The Last of Us, um, I kept expecting to see my characters from from The Walking Dead pop up. Just kind of a funny thing. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely feel like The Last of Us could have used a couple more episodes in the least. But, you know, as a production, when you have certain goals, I guess you just gotta learn to expect those sorts of things. I also watched first couple episodes. Well, I guess the ones that have come out so far, The Mandalorian, got back into that, and of course sucked me right back in. And I'm excited to see kind of what Din Djarin has going forward. What have you been working on lately, Leonard? Because you do no spoilers. Get a couple of loops in there. Let's add another loop in here. Let's bring it out to meet that form. Oops. Are you still working on your desk project? Because you had that one project that you did for a buddy of yours as a gift or whatever that you, um, the Star Trek project. Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot about the printer. Yeah, you've had horrible luck this weekend. Work on finishing the AT-AT. That would be cool. How much further do you have to go on that? Because you already have the whole thing modeled, right? It's just a matter of printing it out and finishing the pieces and putting it together. It's got to fix some forms here, the way that the dress is interacting with the body up along the clavicle and everything. All right, let's kind of pull this down some. Pull that to the outside. Okay, so you can see it's kind of working. It's starting to work. There's a lot left to do, but we're getting there. This piece needs to be hidden because it looks like a weird growth. There we go. Let me grab Now that's really dark, and that'll make it really hard to work with. Potentially. As long as the polygroup stays light. I'm just going to grab maybe a lighter version of that color. So Control Alt, if you click and drag and hold Control Alt while Control Alt click and drag from there, you can color pick anywhere on your UI. That's really pretty pretty neat as a tool. Let's say color fill object, because I think that that'll be a little bit nicer as kind of a working color. It might be nice as a final color too. The makeup needs to get fixed too. Here, since I'm here and I'm thinking about it, because the makeup kind of drives me nuts, and I've been thinking about changing this for a long, long time. Let's go ahead and kind of pull that in. I'm probably going to want to try to change the color at some point, but we'll have to see what we end up doing. But I think that like just changing the size of that helps tremendously. I'm going to want to do some stuff with the eyebrows too. So much, so much. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, let's go ahead and play with some of the hand anatomy here. Because I wanted to try to like ease out that little peak there on that knuckle just a little bit, as it feels like it's breaking that silhouette quite a bit. It's just like compositionally, I kind of wanted to ease it out some. And that feels better. I'll do that. Let's work with these knees a bit. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can grab some of this, kind of push it in. Turn off symmetry and kind of work at it asymmetrically. Some of these things are going to have their own forms anyway, in the way that they receive forms, the way that they the way that things interact and behave. It's going to be different based on based on the pose anyway, so it's kind of nice to It's kind of nice to be able to work on things out of symmetry for the sake of being able to work those sorts of ideas out. That feels a little bit messy, so let's just kind of work that out a little bit. Try to work out a bit nicer of a shape or something in here. I'm liking that. Though it might be a little bit strong over on this side. It's feeling pretty good. This feels a little bit too lumpy, so I'm just going to try to soften this just a bit here. I don't know why this has big dimples here. Alright. So it feels a little bit better. Okay. Figuring out the joinery. The body and head all printed and assembled, but I need to deburr the aluminum parts in sand, and the whole thing needs to be painted. It's so much work. Laura gets her casts off today. She still won't be able to get around much. Bummer. But at least she gets the casts off and she can start to work herself back into some more normal activity. Bless her heart. Oops. I want to get a little bit more. You know what? I think that's a little bit much. Kind of pull it up and in rather than out like that. I feel like that might be coming out a little far too. So let's try. I'm going to try playing with this shape just a little bit. I mean, that's all we ever do, right? We just play with shapes. She wants to learn ZBrush. She's so way ahead of the curve. Yeah, she is a physical sculptor. Yeah. Does she know about streams? Does she? Yeah, we should try to get her in here. Cause yeah, I mean she was like super into asking questions when I did my workshops at Imagineering. Probably more so than anybody else that I worked with, I guess, on that. Those knees are looking much nicer. Certainly feel much more natural. I am seeing though, like I'm not liking some of the thicknesses kind of going in here. I feel like it's, I don't know, like something about these forms in here, it's not flowing quite the way that I'd like. So I'm going to try to work with this just a little bit. Let's see, let's get this ankle, this outer ankle to kind of she can be on live with me. She's not super computer savvy. Yeah, computers aren't easy to be savvy with. I feel like computers try extra hard to have so much available on them that they end up being difficult. Try playing with this a little bit. This right here can probably be accentuated just a little bit more. This can be taken in, this can be taken out. I'm just trying to like find a good flow, find a good silhouette, something that feels like it's got like a very intentional sort of rhythm to it. Maybe this right here. Here I'm going to try kind of just sculpting a little bit here for a minute. And let's see if we can figure some things out here. That feels quite a bit too strong. But it feels quite a bit too strong. Let's kind of ease that down quite a bit there. Something kind of like that. There we go. That feels much, much nicer. So now for the other foot, we do want to kind of play a computer do one thing, really. Crash. It was great because I was able to walk her through the upgrade. Nice. Hey, Caitlin, say something. She did. She said she watched The Last of Us, and she said that she. Yeah. I was paying attention. Oops. Leonard's feeling too lonely today. Poor Leonard. Let's try to like find some planes here. That's feeling a little bit cooler, but I kind of want this to feel like it's kind of accentuating against that back tendon there. So let's see if we can get this to... Is that where I want that to be? No, we'll keep it where it is. Kind of maybe raise it just slightly. Let's see what we can get with this. Let's see, we can kind of like, because I'm wanting to try to clean up this shape just a little bit. I feel like taking this piece in, I feel like this will, oh good, the whole shoe is just one piece. That is helpful, okay. Or at least that part of the shoe is. Let's go ahead and grab this and kind of push that down and in just a little bit, because that'll help to accentuate that edge. And now what we can do is I can come over here. Oh, that's a little bit strong. Let's kind of accentuate some of this. Accentuate the heel just a little bit, but then kind of cut in so that it gives me a little bit better of an impression of the anatomy that's going on in there. A little bit more for that bone that's happening right through there. I'm going to try to do something here. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to try to push this up and in just a little bit. And then same thing maybe for like right here. And say push this in just a little bit. No, maybe just once. Once could work. In fact, I do want to make sure that I'm controlling kind of the shape that this is making. Okay, I don't want it to feel like it's too like wrapping. I don't know. I want to make sure that that it feels like it's wrapping around the foot the right way. Too much pressure. That's funny. Go ahead and grab that and kind of give it just a little bit there. Might be a bit too strong. Kind of ease it out some. Let's see, let's get, with this ankle, we want to do something kind of similar with what we did with the other one. Okay, I want to, let's kind of get something more shapely going on in there.
change some of the forms of the heel as it's kind of coming out from the heel of the shoe. Just so that way it feels like there's kind of this sense of impact, this sense of, and granted, she's not supporting any weight on this part of the foot, so it's not really going to be a huge deal to make it feel like it's got some squash to it or whatever. But I do want to try to make sure that I'm getting some sense of just some sense of anatomical form change. There's just some simple stuff that's going on that I need to be mindful of and careful with. Something kind of like this going on. It's a little bit strong, but let's go through and make sure that the shoe fits it. I do kind of want to strengthen the plane down here a little bit. Since we have a pretty strong plane change right here, I kind of want to add a little bit of that emphasis down here as well. I feel like it's a little lacking, so I'm just going to just emphasize it just a little bit, see if we can get it to feel pretty even. Lots going on. Lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. Okay. Let's go back and turn her color back on. Okay. Now that I feel like we have that, oh, that knee right there. It's like it's too round. It's too soft. Too round, too soft. Kind of soften out some of the other points down here a little ways. And then let's see if we can get this to overlap in just the right ways. It's a little bit too rounded on top, so let's try to take that cap down just slightly. So there's a bit more of like a smooth transition from thigh to kneecap. So now I'm liking the shape that I'm getting on that top knee, so let's see if we can kind of emulate that some here on the bottom knee, and then we should be able to finish modeling in that dress. In the dress, I want to be able to use dynamics for the long flowy bits of it. much, much better. I mean, you still can't quite see all of what's going on in here. Let's go ahead and do something kind of like that. Alright. It's looking much nicer. It's looking much, much nicer. Okay, with that goblet, let's go to that wine glass. Oh, I'm so sorry. Wine glass. I'm going to say glass. Skip that until next restart. I'm going to say material, color, fill object. Because now, in theory, I should be able to render this stuff as if it was wonderful. I'm going to say tinted glass. Material, color, fill object. So yeah, let's see preference, or sorry, not preferences, render. Say redshift render, we'll turn that on and we'll say, let's check it out and see what it is that it does. In theory, it should make the goblet and the wine look like ray traced objects. Well, there we go. The wine doesn't look good, but the glass looks pretty decent. Eventually, at some point, maybe we'll go ahead and we'll add like a skin shader to the character's body and things like that. But that was interesting. I'll go ahead and keep that as the skin shade 5. And let's start working on getting the rest of this dress worked out. And then I'm going to call it a day. See about doing some chores after this or something. Get this pulled out a little bit. This ain't no wedgie town. Cool. Have you printed the pumpkin? Are you talking about this pumpkin? Webcam. Yeah. So yeah, one of the things that I've thought about doing is trying to, well, I need to work out Pumpkin Spice so that she herself balances on it better, because her feet, this back foot doesn't touch the ground, and so that's creating like kind of a balance issue. I thought about taking this back leg and bending it back some so that, here, let me see if I can get this back up into focus here. Come on, focus, focus, focus on the things. Okay. This back leg, I thought about taking this and kind of bending it back at the knee so that she's got like that toe on the ground a little bit better. do need to talk about LED stuff. Um, but yeah, that's one of those things that I need to fix because the balance is way off, and I didn't think about that and how heavy that bow is. Even without the bow, she doesn't stay balanced, which is disappointing. Um, so I think part of it is maybe taking her. I could take her upper body and kind of lean it into like lean it forward into the pose a little bit better so that her head and her bow are more centered over her knees or something. Um, that's one option of things that I've thought about doing. Which, granted, I think that that would probably be the best, and I think it would also help sell the pose pretty well as well. I did think about doing a magnet pocket, because that's something that would work pretty well. I do need to make sure that um, that I still don't run into the same issue of like the bow and the balance and everything kind of still pulling her over backwards. Because yeah, currently that's what happens. She's just too back heavy, which I didn't expect at all. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Um, and then the pumpkin itself is really thin, so it doesn't have a whole lot of weight to it anyway. Um, so another thing that I thought of is like um, instead of having the pumpkin be so straight out to the side, I thought about having it and turning it so that it's like she's kind of facing more away from it, I guess. Just kind of turning her and her relationship to the pumpkin. I think that that's something that could potentially work. But snap. But again, I mean, I think it's a matter of trying to figure out those relationships. That's why I printed her out small, so then I could troubleshoot and do a couple different things, do tests. Otherwise, you run out of resin too fast. All right, let's go ahead and get this back to the stream. Need to grab a different resin machine, maybe. I thought about getting one of those. What are they called? I keep forgetting which one it is that I'm super interested in. Um, but it's one of those 8K projection ones. That's like the reason I got the form printer was because way too much, especially through Formlabs. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that no, it wasn't an Elegoo. It might have been a Saturn, or the not the Saturn. The sorry, I saw your text. The Anycubit. Um, I think that was the one that I was looking at. I was like, oh my goodness, it's working really nicely. It's getting really good prints really quickly. I'd have to look. My friend Crystal has one. Um, Let me see if I can find her real quick. Crystal. Oh, she changed her logo. That's nice. She is using Frozen 3D. Frozen 3D. So yeah, that's the one that she's been using, and it does tremendous quality, at a fraction of the time, at a fraction of the cost. I feel like with the way that the projection based printing has evolved over the last few years, just like even just recently, um, there's like no reason for me to stay overly committed to my old printer brand. Oh, Ian just got one. Sir Ian. None shall pass. You shall not pass. Sir Ian, Sir Ian, Sir Ian, Sir Ian. Yeah, right. Yeah, Ian's great. Ian is great. Yeah, let me see. Let's say slide edge loop partial there, and just kind of get that over. I want to make sure that on this dress that I have the same number of spans on each side. So I got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can add in one more. Insert. Slide edge loop partial. Get this to fit around her rear end a little bit better. Her back, her hips. Oops. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and add in an extra edge loop here. Extra edge loop here. And then let's go ahead and we'll just smooth that out just a little bit. Smooth that out just a little bit. Pull on it. Because like I want this to feel like it's draping. I want this to feel like it's, not super skin tight or anything like that. I want this to feel like it's kind of hanging off of those high points. Just going to kind of pull that forward a little bit. Just kind of pull that off of those hips a little bit there. Okay. Find them on Craigslist, almost new. People buy 3D printers and then find all the work they require. Yup. That's funny. I'm going to say close. geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. And then what I want to do is I want to say from here, so one loop below that that 5-pointed star, one loop below that 5-pointed star. That's where our split is going to happen. Say Control W. Oops. Control W. Okay. Yeah, it is all about jumping on a bandwagon. That's why I got on. No, just kidding. Yeah, a lot of people kind of, I guess, I'll say they romanticize the idea of having a 3D printer, making toys for their kids and things like that. It's like, yeah, I mean, you can, but it's not that easy. It's not as easy as just saying, I'm going to make a toy today. It's like, well, I mean, do this. Grab that, control, click, and drag. Say delete hidden. And then I'll also say let's delete these. Delete these. We'll refine the shape of the slit. And then we can finish building out the rest of the dress. Now, regarding the final look of the dress, I think that it's pretty close. I want it to stay pretty simple. It seemed like Bond dresses are always like much more, just simple, elegant. Okay, not always. Most of the time. Okay. Take this out to about here. Let's go ahead and rotate it. Kind of shrink it in on the sides here, something like that. An expensive gumball machine. Yeah. And it smells a lot less appealing than a gumball machine. Okay, so we can see now we've got this upper piece and this lower piece. Okay, let's go ahead and mask this out. Just to get kind of like the basic length of the dress. And then what I think I want to do, oh, that got a little bit too far out there in the front. Let's say I want to use my what's it called? My transpose line. You know what? I'm trying to think. What's a good shape for this? I've got to kind of look at some of the pictures that I've got on here. kind of interesting. So like currently I have the slit coming in a little bit lower on the thigh, like closer to the back than to the front is what I mean. Um, that's kind of an interesting thing. So one of the things that I'm looking at right now, like I'm seeing this picture of Ana de Armas, and I'm noticing that the slit is almost kind of more toward the front. So I think it could be worthwhile to take that bit and move it so that it's up further. Um, it's going to take a little bit of work, but I mean, it could be pretty simple and pretty certainly a worthwhile endeavor. Okay, let me see. So I'm going to take these and actually let's grab these poly groups here. Let's say unweld groups border. Okay. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to say let's just move it up. And then get rid of that. Is that going to be far enough? Let's do it one more actually. Because I think that should give me um, enough of a slit to be able to pull that off pretty nicely. Okay, so same thing over here. Get rid of 2 rows. Get rid of those. Alright, let's work on getting this side kind of tied in. Okay, something kind of like that. Something kind of like that. Let's go ahead and say stitch to end point. Oops. Alright, so that's stitched in. We can do the same thing over here. You just kind of stitch things in. We'll worry about moving the rest of it over in a minute. Let's go ahead and grab that. We'll grab this, make sure that's all masked, and then we'll go ahead and start positioning the slit a little bit better. That looks like that might have gotten welded. That is such a pain. Yeah, I think the easiest thing for me to do here is just get rid of those. Gonna pull this over, something like this. Something like that should work nicely. bridge edges. So we'll get those together. We'll get those together. We'll get these. Bridge those. Then we gotta insert, and we'll bridge that together. Well, I guess let's insert over here as well, because, you know, why not? And then we'll just bridge that. Bridge that. Oh yeah. Go ahead and bridge that together. So now this needs to be bridged. Come here, you. We need to insert a single edge loop. And we need to stitch that to there. So now that should be good. That should be good. Flow-wise, we just finished fixing. Fixing that issue. So let's go ahead and kind of fix the shape here. That looks pretty good. That looks like that's working. Okay. Control W, just so that we can start to. Here, let's separate out these borders here, so that way we have that at least marked. And I'm trying to think of like how much of this I want to have as, I don't know. I think that the way that I want to go about this, I want to be able to simulate the bottom half so that it falls against the chair. It's not going to have the body to interact with. And then the top half is going to interact with the, is going to be interacting with the character's body. So that's going to be fun. I just gotta go through and, but yeah, I'm going to use dynamics to be able to accomplish all of that. Had a neighbor's friend want to get one for his son. He stopped by and I showed him both types of printers. He saw the space it took and the auxiliary equipment it took. He decided against it. The neighbors have already seen you sculpting this on TV. I want to print a full-size one for the living room. Wouldn't that get them wondering? Well, I mean, if you really want. Leonard. Talking about a gumball machine, right? A great wine glass holder. Yeah. Custom wine glass holder. That's pretty funny. I might. Yeah, let me see. Because this feels like it's a little bit too high on the leg. Like too far upward. So I'm starting to wonder if maybe I should have gone one less. I'm not going to worry about redoing it again, though. let's go through and let's add in some edge loops. See if we can make some magic happen. Let's say keep polygroup. Get that to be the same front and back. Same front and back. And you know what? I am going to say also, let's go ahead and Control Shift S so that we can get Control W, there we go. Let's go ahead and get this to be softened and softened in both directions. Get this so it's flying up in the front because we're going to need it to kind of fall over her. Okay. Let's kind of try to even out some of these points that are coming along this backside here. So that hopefully when this simulates going over the back, or like over the chair, over the seat of the chair, it should hopefully fall fairly nicely because, you know, we want the points to be nice and even. Let's see if this works. See if this gets us what we want. I mean, it'll probably get us most of the way there. What I'm expecting is for it to get me a decent amount of the way there, and then for me to go through and have to, you know, finish sculpting in folds, finish sculpting in different details. But I want to use kind of a I didn't see anything from the Oscars. I don't watch award shows. They like they don't matter to me. And it's funny because I mean I work in an industry where everything is based off of awards. So it's, I don't know, it's just kind of funny. Let's come up here, close off the character. I'm going to shut that off. Magazine should be fine. The chair is what we want. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's really kind of funny to me. Because it all just feels like an insane charade. Cool. So now that we've got this, we've got the chair. In fact, invert that, smooth that out. Come on. Okay, so now what we want to do, let's open up dynamics. Let's start playing with that. I feel the same. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel's fun. He's fun. Hate to be rude and say I don't care sometimes, but sometimes I don't. I get it. I get it. Gravity. Let's set this to 1. Oh, you know what? That's not going to be nearly long enough, but it's okay. We'll see. We'll try it out. We'll see what it does. Because I do want this to kind of be down and almost kind of like pool on the ground. In fact, I'm starting to wonder if I want to make it so that there's only one slit in the dress, so that it just kind of like, because like we got the one slit right here, so that you can see her, Vi que vendrás a México, ¿cierto? Algún taller no, pero sí estaré y creo que voy a estar dando algún discurso, alguna charla. Pero ya veremos. Sí, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo te va? Um, yeah. So yeah, I think I want to do it. I want to do it. Um, let's grab this, and before I start like simulating anything, I kind of want to just bring this down so that this is more in line with this other piece of the dress. Let's go ahead and say delete, delete, stitch, stitch. Alright. It's okay not to care, and it's not rude. I totally agree. I totally agree. It's like I worked with several people at Marvel that they're just like, yeah, superheroes aren't my thing, but I like them job. I like the subject matter. It's fun, whatever. And I'm just like, okay. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say, let's grab that, stitch that to there, and then we're gonna say stitch hole, boom, boom. Say slide, slide, slide. Okay. I just kind of want to cozy these points out, get something a little bit nicer. I think this is going to work out much, much nicer. It already feels nicer to me, you know? So luxe. Okay, so now that we've got all of this going on here, I do want to lengthen out the dress. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to control. That didn't really work as I had planned. Let's say control, click, and drag. That should be long enough, I think. Estoy muy emocionado que vendrás. Tu trabajo es increíble. Gracias, Renderman. Muchísimas gracias. Muy amable, en verdad. Sí, me pidió el, el hombre que organiza el evento. Me pidió que viniera y pues será mi primera vez en México, será genial. Así que ya veremos qué tal y qué pasa. Okay, I've got an idea. For something. One of the things that I'm trying to accomplish is I do want this to feel like the bell of a dress. like I'm already struggling with what it is that I want to be able to accomplish. Pardon me. That I want to be able to accomplish with it. Here, I'm going to turn off. Let's turn off the shoes because the shoes will just be in the way. Oh, I know what that is. Let me see. Here, I'm going to do this because I want to be able to grab all the parts of just the shoes. So by doing this, we can go ahead and say Control F, say yes, make that into a folder called shoes. I should be able to turn that off. Awesome. Come into the character. Let's grab just the torso and the legs, but I want to hide. I want to hide the lower legs. You know what? Here's what we got to do. Control Shift S, bring this down. So we have just the upper legs. Tiene que probar taco. Pues sí, obviamente. Seré re importante probar todo lo bueno, ¿verdad? Control Shift S. Yeah, it's a great little shortcut. Pues sí, me encantaría, algo que me encantaría poder probar, a ver si, pues qué tal de diferente es, son los tacos y las mulas. A mí me encantan las mulas, las mulas de carne asada y todo. Uy, son genialísimos, ¿verdad? Tengo un amigo, su esposa es de Sonora y su señora es de Sonora. um, ha de haber una canción. um, Ay, qué difícil. Y él es muy como um, particular en cuanto a los tacos. Nosotros fuimos a Nueva York una vez a probar y pues no para probar, sino que había un viaje y nosotros fuimos y había tacos y probamos, ¿verdad? Así que um, algo que encontré medio chistoso, punto uno, ¿verdad? Um, es que a él le encantan los tacos al estilo sonoro, al estilo de Sonora, pues. Um, pero al resto, como se queja de vez en cuando, si la carne está mala o que sea. Y pues yo aprendí todo eso. Aprendí a quejarme de cuando la carne no sea buena, digamos. Así que eso es siempre lo primero que pruebo. son los tacos de carne asada. A ver qué tal. Y también a veces al pastor. But yeah, I love tacos. Go ahead and just grab this. And then what I want to do is I want to use cloth pull. I'm going to try to like play around with this a little bit to try to get it so that it's a little bit more situated to fall off of her body. Okay, here we go. Yeah, lots of stuff to kind of play around with here. And the dynamics can get you part of the way there, but it's definitely not going to get you all the way there. That's going to create an issue. But I think since we already have a collision volume there, we should be alright. I'm going to try set direction, run simulation. No, I forgot. I forgot to set any kind of masking. Wow, that was very different from anything that I was expecting to have happen. Okay. Now let's run that simulation. Certainly a bit better, but not quite. Here, let's say run simulation. We'll stop it right there. Nope, I don't like that. Let's do something like this. Yeah, it's all going to be about playing at this point. That would get you flagged. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It probably would. It's like, seriously, guys, I didn't mean to. It's going to take a lot of work getting this up into the right positions and everything, but I think that this is going to be probably the closest that I can get it with the simulations. I can't think of another more creative way of getting stuff to work in that direction. Go ahead and bring this over. This needs to kind of come up. Where are the shoes? Shoes. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of working that out. The nice thing, though, is that we have some decent topology that we can work with to get some good folds in there. So I was trying to use the cloth pole, and the cloth pole was, was doing decent enough for some of what I was trying to do, but then it felt like it was just, um, it's kind of messing up forms in a way that I didn't want to have them messed with. Um, so yeah, I kind of like had it get me to a point, and then I started doing the rest by hand, which is fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's all gonna be fine. Okay, so this is coming up in a way that I don't want. It's like I don't want this to feel like a thick material. I want this to feel like a nice, thin sort of material. So a lot of this is going to have to be kind of condensed down. And this obviously has to come out from the chair. Pull that down, pull that up. I might not get too many of these fabric dynamic folds to stay too well, and that's fine. I'll make do. Alright, let's do something like that. So I feel like this right here needs to start to come and maybe be a little bit less wide. There's going to be a lot of just like manual control from here on out, I think. It's like you want to create something like a house in dress. Similar. Yeah, that looks like it's got some similar sort of structures to it. I assume Houston's the designer. But yeah, lots of similar sort of structure. Similar sort of structure there. Let's kind of get that to have a little bit more of like a real draping over the edge of the seat. Come on, come on, come on. I am not sure why it won't grab onto the points I'm pointing at. Like, why? Let me see. this pulled back. Let's get this kind of straightened out more. Get this pulled back. Yeah, it's like, I think part of the idea of the dress, it won't let you post links. You'd have to send it to me on Discord or something like that. Yeah, it's like, I think I'm the only person that I have set to be able to share links across chat on a stream. So hopefully, everybody should be able to see whatever links I post in chat, but but nobody else can post chat links. Yeah, let's go ahead and make sure this is. Well, that's kind of cool though. I'll keep that. Yeah, I get a lot of those sorts of things where it's like, oh, I did that on accident. I'll take it. Happy trees. This is not good though. I don't like that. I do want this to feel like it's kind of all resting on the ground at this point. So we'll take this and just kind of pull that down. Okay. You could email it, or you could. There's on what's it called, on Discord. There's an option to be able to um, to do personal like personal messages, direct messages. Um, so yeah, that's an option. Let's see. It's okay. We'll help you. We'll help you learn the ropes. Oh, good. You got a new board on the way. Yeah, kind of similar to that. But the top. Here, let me see. Maybe I can actually just pull it up. I don't actually have Discord downloaded, so maybe I need to download the desktop app. Utilities. say. Oh, I thought it would have had a thing on here. So the image that Leonard sent to me. Oh, cool. I can say right there. So like some of the differences are like the image that I'm liking more is more like this, where it's Ana de Armas, this shape, and I feel like the back is probably a little bit open. Um, but yeah, I'm liking the way that the pieces are kind of overlapping with the legs, and so it's just a matter of getting it to work out. Oh, got a message in my thing. Oh, I guess I can kind of minimize that one, make that one big. Let's see. Close that out. Okay. ¿Cómo creaste la textura alcolchonada? No, es modelado. This is all topology. Así es la cosa. Um, yeah, a mí no me gusta hacer la cosa a medias. Así que todas las cosas que yo hago son hechas de pura topología. Así que yo siempre creo las cosas que tengan toda la línea y todo muy recta y refinadas y pues ya está todo. Así que así es como creé la cosa. Um, Porque yo vengo de un fondo de producción y para la animación tenemos que tener la topología bien creada para que podamos, ah, pues para que pueda caber dentro las necesidades de producción. Ah, puede ser difícil y duro a veces, es un desafío, pero es un juego también. Yeah, so topology is asking about the cushioned pattern on the chair. I think I might have actually done that live, but that would have been done on ZBrush live, right? No sabía que habla español. Pensaba estar en una entrevista con un artista colombiano. Cames, no lo conozco. No lo conozco. Pero después, tal vez en un momento puedo compartir del video que hice, um, donde creé la CIA. Um, Playlists. I'm trying to look through here, see if I can find the video where I had. But it's like I don't see any of my playlists coming through at all. Which means that either it's, yeah, I mean there's one of mine, but that's an old episode, so I don't know that we'd have that there. Let's go into live and we'll just kind of scroll for a minute and see if we can find it.
Here we go. Sí, aquí está todo el proceso. Está en inglés, pero igual espero que le sirva. Am, aquí está el enlace. Ah, alguno de tus lives, el cómo lo creaste o ese ya no lo hiciste en ningún live. Sí, lo hice en un live, así que ahí está el enlace para eso. Hey, cheese. Long time no see. Will you speak Spanish right now? Yes, I do. Um, Muy bien, para aprender inglés hasta me funciona ver series como South Park. Así lo hicieron varios de mis amigos, sí. Um, yeah, it's kind of funny. Like TV shows, I feel like are the most effective ways to learn a language because you get to learn all the modismos. You learn all the slang. You learn the street talk and the stuff that people would say on a regular instead of the formal stuff that everybody's like, this is the true and proper way. It's like, yeah, but does anybody actually even say that? So yeah, watching TV shows, that's been like one of my favorite things. Listening to music, um, amazing. I do. I feel like this is up a little bit too high. I'm not weird. No, you're not weird. Not only learn English in classes, but also how they speak in their yeah, in the cultural context. It's a huge thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny too because it's like most of my Spanish comes from Chile. That's where I learned. That's kind of like a lot of the regionalisms that I that I say. um, Not all of them that my wife doesn't like all of the things that I say from that I what I learned in Chile, but it's not my fault. Or is it? um, yeah, her parents are from Nicaragua, and so they speak very differently. They have a very different set of slang terms and all that. That it's just it's fun. It's different. Um, so it's just a matter of getting things, understanding that people will say something in one place and it might be offensive in another place. you know, it's just kind of funny. It's just kind of funny. Yeah. Yeah, it's like Mexicans have these certain slang terms that they love using that are just so iconic to Mexico. Chileans, same thing. It's so crazy. Um, Simon Gertz talks about learning English in Sweden. They had two system proper English and Friends TV show English. That's funny. Are those tears in the dress or is the mesh breaking? So this is like just a slit in the dress. On the other side, I have just trying to work out getting this so that it feels a bit more like folds and things like that. There's a lot to play with here. Here, in fact, it could be interesting. Let's try taking this. And I'm going to say, let's soften that out. Oh, I thought I had my mask lasso on. Okay. Come over here, and I'm just going to kind of rotate this around the corner. This might help to, I guess, just incorporate the two things together, and it'll help, hopefully, to kind of ease out the way that this is kind of coming up on the leg here. Kind of try to push that in a little bit. Push that in a little bit. Yeah, it's always kind of tricky when spaces get super, super tight. But, oh my goodness. Like when it works out. When it works out. I thought about having the dress kind of pool on the ground at her feet a little bit, but I'm just like, I'm having enough of a trouble just getting it to work right here. Right here. So, yeah, maybe not. Yeah, let's get this to kind of come up a little bit. Get this to swing over here some. All sorts of fun. Nice to meet you, sir. I must do more works. Thank you, and likewise. This is a nice sculpt, really dashing. Thank you so much. She learned in Friends English, so she said it made her look like an idiot because she spoke like someone who has lived here, lived in the U.S. her whole life. But when someone would ask her a question, she would ask questions like, Texas, where's that? ¿Cuál sería tu meta o cuál sería tu level up al que te gustaría llegar? Um, Esa sí es una buena pregunta porque siempre estoy cambiando y estoy tratando siempre mejorar, estoy siempre tratando llegar a otro nivel. Am, let's see. Am, Me encantaría, me fascina la idea de tener una fábrica, una empresa propia, de hacer mis propios juguetes y videojuegos y todo eso. Am, pero es duro eso. Como hay que tener fondos, hay que tener am, recursos y todo eso. Am, Algún día, empleados, todo eso. Am, pero por el momento no lo tengo nada. Solo el talento. Ajá. Así que como estoy en eso, estoy como tratando de planear y esperar y hacer lo que pueda por mientras, digamos. Am, pero sí, mi meta algún día es poder tener mi propia empresa, de poder vender mis juguetes y todo eso, y poder sostenerme a mí y también a mi familia de eso. Am, Porque pues para mí es siempre un placer poder hacer mis propios proyectos y todo. Y con proyectos de otra empresa, de otra compañía, siempre hay una pérdida de ingreso y todo eso. Am, Así que a mí me encantaría poder, por decir, como ganar más y hacer algo que yo siempre me siento invertido en cumplir y no sé, como hay mucho que quiero poder hacer con mis propias ideas. Uh, let's turn off that chair again. Yeah, algo así. Es de poder hacer mis propios juguetes y videojuegos y todo eso. De hacer animación y todo eso igual, pero ya veremos. Let's go through, make sure this is not going through her bottom. I mean, what a pain. It's like super atomic wedgie. Is ZBrush used with a bigger focus on character modeling versus hard surface modeling? It's That's a good question. I mean, I assume that's Ben because you're the only person that I know that uses that username. Uh, how you doing? Bigger focus on character modeling versus hard surface. No, it kind of just depends on who's using it. So like right now, I mean, this is obviously a character, not so much a hard surface project, but there are always going to be like hard surface projects. Like for instance, any of the video games that you see around, any movie that you watch, there's likely, ZBrush has likely had some hand in the creation of whatever it is you're seeing on screen. How's that turning out? That's not too bad. Let's get the chair back in there. So yeah, it's just kind of a matter of who's doing what and what part of the process and that sort of stuff. Because there will be things that will be, oops, that's not what I wanted. And this looks like this is like way too relaxed in here. Let's bring this back up. I don't know. So yeah, it's just a matter of who's doing what and what process, part of the process. Me contratas para hacer juguetes para cuando tengas tu propia empresa. Tal vez algún día, pues. Por el momento seré yo solito, pero así es. They would like people to do more hard surface, and I've done plenty of hard surface inside of ZBrush, and it's fun. It's great stuff. It's really, really helpful, and there are a lot of different tricks and tips, things that you can do to be able to do hard surface stuff inside of ZBrush. Um, yeah, it's not necessarily like, I think, the first tool that people think of, or the first thing people think of when they think ZBrush. They're like, oh yeah, ZBrush hard surface. That's like, found out that's why you made it onto top row. That's possible. Are you talking about with your AT-AT? Let's get this to kind of even out some. There we go. That's a little bit better. So Ben, how's Shayna doing? What have you been up to? Like, I don't hear anything from you anymore. You used to like message me all the time and like, hey bro Dre, Oh my goodness, I can't believe it's Monday and it's daylight saving season and all the fun. See, I gotta try to make sure that this is. Alright, that's looking pretty decent. Gotta get that to kind of come up a little bit better. Trying to find ways of getting these drape folds to feel a little bit more natural. Something like that. Shoot, it is almost 5. She's due this month, like 2 weeks, yep. Been learning Cinema 4D. Very cool. Yeah, it seems like you used to try to get into Cinema 4D a little bit back a few years back. Well, it's funny, Leonard, you should mention that. It should technically almost be almost 4, but it's almost 5 now instead because, somebody decided that daylight savings time was a good idea and it's funny is like I at one point had heard that daylight savings time was a Ben Franklin thing, and what a great man Ben Franklin was, and everything. It's like it wasn't Ben Franklin first off, and I think it might have actually been done during the Kennedy administration. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like there's there are pluses and minuses, I guess, but I think that in everyone's book, the minuses far outweigh the pluses. So this is kind of funny. Here, I'm going to take this and let's see about adding some dynamic thickness to it. It's not too bad. Yeah, you got to make sure that your next kid doesn't come on Nini's birthday. I'm not willing to share that one. Oops. Not that there's really anything technically that we can do about it, but anyway. The people are opposed to getting rid of it are golf courses. Yeah, that's probably true. Can't putt after dark. Okay, let's go ahead and add in some more edge loops so that we are nice and even. Yeah, I've heard several different stories as well about why daylight saving times exists. It's funny. It's one of those things that I'm like, I don't know that I can trust one story over another at all. But whatever. And maybe the true conspiracy is the fact that it exists and nobody really knows why. It's just that all these stories exist to pit us against each other. And it's like that's the real conspiracy. It's like we're gonna tear up America with from within, and we're gonna do it by having them argue about what time of the day it is. If he's born on his due date, they would share. Yep, yep. I'm liking it better with a dress. I think that's kind of nice. Somebody who just wants to see the world burn. You know what? I'm curious. I'm gonna kind of play around a little bit. Let's see. Poly paint. It's like, what am I looking for? Just colors, frame. Let's say intensity, saturation, other direction. I feel like that's not quite right. Give her a little bit more color here. Let's say save as. We'll just kind of step this up. Her hair's going to be super different in the end because, I mean, we're going to want to do something like that. Which means that with the hair color, we're going to want to take something like, try something like this, just for the sake of seeing what it looks like. In fact, maybe it's not even going quite that dark. Maybe it's like doing something that's kind of midway or something. I like the color, but still not entirely sure. We'll have to see. Yeah, let's see if we can kind of change these fingernails to be a little bit different. Let's say adjust color, say frame. Make that a darker color by like quite a bit. And maybe we'll take the saturation down. It feels a little bit too much, like too similar to the dress. Which might not be a bad thing. We'll keep that for now. We'll see how that goes. I still want to go through. I mean, I like. Maybe someone just wants to see the world burn. I think they do. Calling for the 23rd. I hope so. That'd be so much nicer. The British and Germans implemented it in World War I with the idea it would conserve fuel. Back then, lighting was powered by fuel. Yeah, certainly in a lot of places, yeah. I'm trying to decide. I kind of want to take this down one. Let's go ahead and say insert, insert. how did I have this in the first place? Okay. Okay. We're good. We're all right. We will say stitch to midpoint. Oops. Oh, stop it. There we go. Just lowered it one. I was like, what is my brain trying to do? It's trying to sabotage me. It is tearing apart my chances at Alright, let's see. Let's get that out. I like that better. I feel like that's fitting much nicer. And I'm liking the contrast of the elements now. I am curious, like if I were to take this actual dark color here, like I wonder if that would give me um and it's like that becomes like super dark. And then she kind of stands out because she's like this light element on a dark chair, but that might be a little bit too dark. Here, let me see if I can get kind of a good middle ground. Because I do want this to be a little bit darker. I just think that it might be a little bit too dark. And that might not be quite dark enough. Let's see. Let's take it down to like 30. And maybe it doesn't even have to be purple. Maybe we could make it so that it's... I don't know. Let's see. Say adjust colors. Let me see. Purple is opposite yellow. I don't know that I want it to be yellow though. That doesn't feel right. It does need to be a sheen on the fabric, and I'll worry about there being like a sheen at some other point. Maybe it's just a matter of still having all that be dark, and then just using, let me see if I can pull out a, there should be like a satin material, I think. And if there isn't, maybe I can go ahead and I can make one. There's leather, plastic glossy white. I am going to say, let's grab this basic material. Let's turn off the character. No, let's not turn off the character. We'll just do it the same way we did it. Let's go into the chair. Let's go into cushion. I'm going to say material. Let's say copy matte. And let's copy it to I don't know. Let's say paste matte. So this way we have another basic material. I'm not going to have like a shadow catcher object, so it's not really something that worries me right now. And this is something that I'll just kind of save out and be used for something else anyway. So let's go see if we can work out some Fresnel sort of effects with this material. Which honestly I can't remember if there is a Fresnel effect with, well, there's coat, anisotropy, sheen. Let's just go ahead and say material, color, fill object. Okay, it doesn't feel like it's quite working yet. Let's see if we can work anything out here. So yeah, we got the sheen. I went in and turned the sheen all the way up. Sheen roughness, maybe it's too rough. Sheen index of refraction. I'm actually not entirely sure what to turn that out to. Let me see. Just for the sake of checking it out and seeing what we get, let's hit render. You can definitely tell it's getting some sheen, so that's good in the very least, I guess. Let's see. Do you use your own material library? I use the defaults. If I'm getting things over into Maya, then that's when I go ahead and I build up my own custom material library. It's rare that I'll use like third-party stuff. Here, let's put this down to like 0.45, something like that. And I'm going to say 0.25 for the sheen roughness, just to see kind of what that gives me. I'm not sure how to feel about that. I'm going to turn on coat just to be able to see if like getting a little bit of like a shiny. It's not helping. It is not helping. Let's change the color of the sheen. Gets it much more of a velvet sort of color. It does need to be more subtle. It's like it feels way too. Let's put it down to something like this. I don't know what the sheen index of refraction IOR does. Yeah, it needs to go even further. I mean, the color needs to be a lot less crazy too, but it's yeah, it's no, not I need 0.1. There we go. Let's turn up that coat and anisotropy. Let's see kind of what it is that it gives us. This is starting to look a lot cooler. And granted, you know, this is not something that I'm intending to have as like a final rendering material, but it's certainly a lot cooler than what it was. Yeah, I'm liking that a lot better. Yeah, let's see if I can get. There should be a skin material. I guess maybe there isn't a skin material. It's something I need to kind of create, I think. I mean, there's wax, simple glass frosted. Yeah, I thought there were more like actual skin materials, but I guess there isn't, so I'd have to make one. Let's go ahead and say clay. We'll say material, color, fill object. Okay, so what I would like to try to accomplish with this, let's go ahead and turn that off because we don't need to see it right now. Okay, so with this material, we need some subsurface. I'm just going to crank it all the way up just to be able to see what it is that it does. You can already tell that's way too much. I'm going to take this down then to like 0.2. Let's see what we get. I think I'm going to need some more specularity to it. We're going to have to see what it is that it does. The specularity level doesn't look bad. It actually looks pretty nice, pretty decent. Let's try playing with that subsurface though. Let's say, just for the sake of like pushing it, let's see what happens if we put it to 0.5. And granted, I'm sure that this would look different. And this would look different if I were to try to use a different HDRI image, or like some sort of HDRI image for my lighting. But yeah, that's definitely like a lot heavier than it needs to be. Is Redshift your preferred renderer? No, I like to use Arnold and Maya, but yeah, I'm trying to give this a bit of a shot just to see kind of what I can do with it. I mean, I have it, might as well use it, right? Definitely some crazy things going on with the wine and the glass. That looks pretty good though. The eyes. Do I have like actual eyes? Got teeth. Some old pieces. Yeah, I don't have. Oh, I do have eyes glass. Okay, cool. I want to try this. Oh, that's so cool, actually. I want to try see what that looks like. I know, it's stupid, but it's like, it's kind of cool. Ooh, a gold-eyed demon. Okay, let's go ahead and grab glass. It doesn't need to be tinted glass, just basic glass. Is it this one right here? Material, color, fill object. Yeah, like a succubus or something. Yeah. Oh. Oh, that's already doing something I like. Cool. Control save. One of the things that's going to happen though is that because, for instance, the skin material that I just kind of started making, the stylized skin material, and then the material that I developed for the chair, that stuff is going to kind of disappear if I don't save them out. And even if I do save them out, it's going to reassign things when I reopen the software. So I do want to save the skin texture, the skin material though, because I feel like that looks good. That has a good feel to it, so far as like stylized characters. So let's go ahead and grab that material. This is a clay material, but I'm gonna resave it out. Let's say, say save. Okay, you can see I went ahead and made another one back when I was beta testing, but I'm not going to worry about that one right now. Let's go into the Z data. Let's go into, maybe it's under materials. Redshift materials old, huh? Redshift materials. Let's go into here. You see, I'm just trying to get a good feel for what it is that's here, because quite honestly, it looks like these things are not lining up with these things, so I'm curious. Yeah, aluminum, basic clay. Let's go ahead and put it in here, and we'll say SMA skin stylized. And then with that material, SMA call it really great skin material I made on stream. Name's too short. What do I want to call this? I want to call this maybe satin. I might go through and fix it at some other point, but we'll see. I'm curious. Yeah, that's really exciting to see things kind of start to come together. There are a lot of pieces here that need a lot of tweaking. It doesn't really feel like satin though. It feels more like, I don't know, it doesn't really feel like anything in particular. So it's really kind of a tricky material. Maybe next time. The skin material is good though. I really like the skin material. So let's try just taking the leather. Say material, color, fill object, just so that we can get that on there and check and see kind of what the leather material looks like. Yeah, that looks too leathery. I don't like that look. It looks too plasticky. I don't particularly care for it. Let's try simple leather. Let's try simple leather. What's that gonna look like? I mean, that might be the right call, is making it more of like a leather color. I think in the end, a lot of what I'm going to need to do is add things like a noise, add things like whatever to make it so that it pops. It's not a bad color. Yeah, I just don't particularly like it. I mean, I think something like the vinyl might even work a little bit better. Let's see. Like if I do it with the skin material, see what we can do here. So if we fill it with that skin material, the skin stylized material like we have for her body, and see what that does. Definitely doesn't feel quite right. You know what? I want to go over to the fingernails, give them a material. Since I'm like, there we go. Material, color, fill object. Trying to think of what else I can add materials to. Here, let's grab this this dress here. I'm going to say apply dynamic. We'll turn off thickness. We'll turn up smooth. You can definitely tell it's kind of creating issues down here, but that's okay. We'll fix that some other time. Been eyeing Marmoset and Unreal. Yeah, like Unreal I've been trying to get back into lately. It's tremendous. It is so cool, but it's definitely one of those things that is so busy. Let's go back to the wine. I think that this might have some weird color stuff going on with it, so I just kind of want to like fix it some, see if that fixes the issues at render time, and it did. Look at that. So yeah, lots of interesting things happening. I definitely want to get her hand up there on like at her collarbone so that it like and give her like some sort of cool necklace that she's like, you know, kind of propping with or whatever. I feel like that could be really neat. But yeah, I think I want to call that good. I'm going to call that good. I'm just going to leave it named ZBrush document because why not? I don't know what to do for the rest of the chair and getting that material to work right, but you know, whatever. I want to call that good for today. Um, thanks for coming and hanging out. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next